Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's January the 3rd. This will be our price lesson, chart lesson for the day. And um, anyway, it's going to be a short week because we basically celebrated January 1st on the 2nd due to the holiday falling on Sunday. So most of your companies and all your trading and your banks and stuff are closed on Monday. So it feels like a Monday, even though it's a Tuesday. And I'm coming back after being gone for 2 weeks, which I read very little email over the 2 weeks. It was nice to get a break, but I've been still super busy with my mother over the holidays. So she's getting better. Still got a long way to go. So I'm not back to normal yet, but we're making progress. So hopefully maybe another 45 days, and maybe I can kind of get back to a more normal lifestyle. But we're hoping and praying that she continues to improve. But anyway, welcome everybody back. I hope you had a great uh, Christmas and great New Year. I wish the best for all of you. Hope you have joy, peace, and good trades for the most part. So that's my wish for each of you. But let's kind of get down to the chart lesson. It's been a busy day for me. It's going to take me a few more days to catch up on email, so I'm going to try to make this chart lesson short and sweet as far as not getting off track today. And maybe in a couple of days we'll kind of be back to normal. So um, just looking at the daily chart here, you can see we're continuing to trade lower. This blue chart still, this blue channel still in play. We turned down twice off of it. Looked like we might go higher there, but at this point, it looks like we're going lower. As you can see, pretty much we spent the entire holidays just kind of working sideways. We dropped down here in the early part of December, first couple of weeks, and then since then, over the holidays, prices have really just chopped around and gone sideways. And that's not uncommon because there's a lot of squaring of the books with the big guys. A lot of them are on vacation. Most all of them take the end of the year off. The volume's low. This is just small guys duking it out for the most part. Occasionally somebody's squaring up the book, so it might be up or down one day. So I wouldn't put too much stock in what's happened over these last couple of weeks. It does look like we're going lower. We did trade back to the midline today and then turn back down. We did close off the lows, so but still a fairly down day. My guess is we're going to go lower here. I really expect that at some point in the next few weeks we're going to make new lows. I could be wrong. We could turn back up here and get a break of this channel at any time, especially since we're way oversold. But you see what happened the last few times we got oversold? I mean, it just kept going and it gets way outside the bands. And we could do the same thing here again as we at least trade down to this midline, and this time we may get all the way through there and go all the way to the lows again, at least make a lower than this low. So we'll see what happens. To me, this still looks bearish, and I still think we got room. I don't think we're done to the downside. I don't think this bear market's over yet. There's a 30,000 foot view of it. As you can see, we've had some nice corrections in here, but the sell-off, we usually sell-off continues again and we make another new low. We've done that each time. So be prepared for most likely more downward. We could rally some more too. We've had some pretty good rallies in here. And sometimes these rallies are really good rallies because it starts short covering. And people think that maybe, hey, this thing's over, the downtrend's over, and we're trying to get long, and they start covering, taking their profits, and it causes days like this. As you can see, this big spike up, and here's another one. Here's one here. I mean, there's several of them in here, and that's what causes those kind of days in a bear market. You get some really strong rally days, but then it turns around and sells off just as fast. So anyway, let's get over to the chart. You'll see it was mostly down today. There was actually two perfect measured legs down. Uh, it's set up a little odd, but I'll show it to you how I saw it anyway. Well, let's flip over there to that chart. Okay, here's a look at it. And as you can see, right here. We had the trend down. We had a break here with a two-legged correction. And where that second leg started, you can see we made a perfect measured move down to the tick. And then we kind of rallied out of there slightly. We had this channel coming up, break, new high, and then we just kind of chopped sideways into the close. So we did close off the lows, but there's definitely two legs down there. And so sometimes you'll get another leg here that might, so I would have, if it continued lower, I would have measured from here all the way to here and then move this over here. But you can see we didn't get anything like that. So it didn't continue lower. So my first assessment was correct here. And honestly, we really got that one to the tick. It's about as close as you can get to a measured move. Didn't look like we were going to get it there for a while. We kept bouncing here. You got to be careful buying a downtrend like this. But once we were working sideways, you start playing as a, range or whatever. So there's not a lot of trades here. As strong as this was down, you really had to be patient this morning. There just weren't any really good setups. So as the day progressed, there turned out to be some nice trades. And if you caught some of these, you probably got a runner on maybe a couple of them. But anyway, 7 o'clock came right as we're making this move up here, and I just didn't see anything here I liked. You can see there's just no real good setup there. You might have looked at that as a triple test, but we're still working higher there. I'd probably want to wait on a lower high, and you just really never get anything there. It comes back, and so you might consider that a lower high. That is a second entry, right at the resistance and a long way from the EMA. So maybe you take that trade. But you can see we ended up going higher. It was good for an easy scalp, but you didn't get anything else out of it. We ended up going higher. And I didn't draw this one because this looks like the retest of this, and then it suddenly turns down, and the bottom just falls out of it. And again, I just don't see any setup here. We did come back to the trend line right here, but it's just the first entry. This channel's still valid. This little small green micro channel still valid. So I just don't see a setup there that I would consider. And then finally we get a second entry short. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry, right off the key entry points. A little sideways. What you would be concerned about is there enough room between here and here to scalp out? But you can see there's clearly more than enough room. If there's not, and you enter this, you'd have to use like a limit order and let it break lower, and then drop a limit order a little bit further back and see if it comes back. But you can see here it wouldn't even come back at the bottom, just dropped. And so I like that trade. You might have looked at this as a lower high, but we're really getting late in this trend. We've been away from the EMA since way up here. This is a pretty strong move all the same, and it is off the key entry point. And you could look at that as a hidden second entry. So that's another one maybe you take. I'd sit tight on it. And then we just start chopping sideways here, and you can't go short into this support, and I wouldn't be going long yet. We just got your first break of this yellowish khaki channel, and there's no new low yet. This one was really tempting. It broke higher and then turned down. I didn't mark it. Once it closed like this, I definitely wouldn't have taken. It was really tempting on the engulfing bar because it looks like a breakout pullback. But if we didn't quite have the new low yet, I'd say maybe you mark that. But the fact that we already have a new low in place, you could get trapped there. So it's just not worth it. There's another second entry here, but the signal bar is not very good. Same thing here. This one actually makes a lower high right here, but that looks congested, and you got this little channel working up. And you can see it working up right through there. And so I didn't trust going short there. you might have said, hey, there's a failure here. But when you got 3, 4 bar matching lows there, even though it worked, don't take that trade. Because technically prices just came off the lows of this channel. So they're probably trying to go here. And this just looks a little bit too much like congestion right across there. Even before this sets up over here, but you can see after the fact that there's really a lot of sideways there. And so I just would stay clear of that. You might consider, hey, there's a failed break lower, but we're in a downtrend. And even though we're expecting prices to go here, they could go lower. So you just can't take anything out of that. And then we're trending up. But you do get a close outside new high. I like this one just as a failed break out of that far away from the EMA. I marked it green. Technically, you'd want to wait on a lower high, and we get one, but it's right into the EMA there, and we're on the upper side of it, and we've been going sideways, and this is starting to point up. I just sit tight. I wouldn't go long yet. There is a second entry long there, but we've already got a close outside. It's not a convincing close, and that's the thing here. Even though that closes outside, maybe it's more like that. And it's not a convincing close outside. So it all depends. It's just really close there. So I would just wait, and I don't think I would go long there. It's another one. We've been going sideways since a little after 9, and here it is almost 10. So we've been going sideways to up for a while. And you might even look at that as a triple test. So in that case, maybe you take that trade. Honestly, I think I would stay clear of it, but there it is. I'll mark it green. And of course, now we make a new high, and then we're running. We go through the EMA, we pull back once, we pull back twice, and it fails. So if it breaks lower there, that's a trap. That's a failed second entry long. People thinking this where we bottomed out here, and that's the trade of the day. If you catch that one trade, that's all you need. That's an easy runner. Let's just say you took it to the first bar that broke higher. If you just did that, there's 16.5 points, so $825 on a single contract. So if you had a runner or two there, pretty good day. So something to think about right there. And of course we start working back up. We got a break and a new low in place. We start working back, but then we quickly get a close outside new high. And that's a second entry short. This is a double bottom, so one leg up, 2 legs up. That's a second entry short after a break and new high, right at the EMA. I like that one. Lower high here, but it's an inside bar. They don't have equal matching highs. And then this is where we start this new trend of just chopping sideways. No shorts here. But we do get this triple test here. Maybe you take that trade. There's a failure here, but that just looks too congested. Everything's still below the EMA. You don't worry so much about the EMA in a range. And maybe this is a little bit higher where that last close was. And so maybe you still take that trade. I didn't mark it, but maybe you could take that trade. I just didn't like it because it's congestion right there. There's 3 or more bars side by side, and a couple of them have a small body or no body, and that's the rule. And of course we run back up to the top, and you get a nice bearish bar right off the highs, triple test. This one's close to being red. We still don't have the measured move yet, but we're in this range, and prices have turned down there multiple times. So I like that one. I did mark it green, but I like that trade. There's not a lot of room to the midline, and we bounced there twice, so I was a little leery of that one, wary of it, whatever, however you want to say it. And then, of course, we drop out the bottom, and as you would expect, it fails, even if it's only temporary. We do get a bounce right here. But again, it looks a little congested. It is an outside bar. It's another one that you might take. I'm not crazy about it, but maybe you take that trade. Runs back up, fails out the top again, and then boom, off it goes. Unfortunately, there's no setup here to catch that. I don't see anything I would take there. And we're chopping sideways again. Notice we made that measured move. We do get a triple test here. One, there's not any real space in there, so really it only looks like a double test to me. It's a really big bar though, and for that reason, I don't know that I would take that. I mean, 24 ticks right at the EMA. If it breaks higher and you miss it, because there's a good chance it's going to fail and try to come back. The question is it going to retest this high before it goes lower? And it's just hard to say right there what its prices are going to do. And I don't like anything else in there until we get another triple test here. So I like going long there, and that's a second entry long uh, as well. Technically, the second entry comes when it breaks above this bar, but I wouldn't go long until this bar. And even then, you might let it break higher and drop a limit order a few ticks back. I don't know if you could have got filled like that or not, but that's probably how I would play it, just to give myself some room. But notice we had resistance at the previous support twice, and then we pushed through, and then we're trying to go higher again. So the odds are they've cleaned out a lot of those stops and things up there, so we could push on through, and you can see it turns out to be a really nice rally up through there. So if you took that one, great trade. It's real close to calling that green just because of where it sits there, but I think that push through right there just kind of gives you some kind of gives you the idea that, hey, we've got a little momentum above that now. We're not finding so much resistance there, and maybe we'll push on through again, which it does. And then we just find resistance up here at the top again. And you really have a triple test here, but you come back again, and look how bearish that is. That's right off those highs. Good bit away from the EMA. I like going short there. And see, this is the danger of why you got to be careful on these and pick the right ones, because it ends up going higher, although you had plenty of room back to the EMA there before it bounced. And we did end up breaking out again. Big bearish bar again. I don't think I'll go short right there at the midline, right at the EMA. And it turns out just to be, if you didn't go short there, then you can't because it's too congested. Then you make a second leg down, and you get a break of that possible first channel there, and then there's a break higher there that fails, but you're looking for prices to go higher here, not lower. But maybe the range takes precedence. So if you're looking at it like that, maybe you go short on this bar. It's another one that you could argue maybe it's green, but I'm thinking long here, so I want a sure thing, and that's just not a sure thing to me. No setup here when we do drop lower. That's congestion, so nothing there, and then it just takes off. If this would have broken lower and turned up, maybe you go long with it on the failure 3 times, but I just think that's too risky. And again, you get a really nice move and no way to really take advantage of it. Notice what happens. You make a measured move up, and then you try to go higher once, twice. We're still way away from the EMA, and that looks like one leg down, so hopefully we'll get a measured leg down. So I like that failure there. I like going short on that bar. Then we're just kind of bouncing along. There's a triple test right there, but I don't like that bar. But when we get the next one, that one's really nice, and so I like going long there. When it didn't break higher there, it makes you kind of concerned. But I think with all those bounces and nothing even closing close to the line down here, it really should be more like right there. And you can see we're closing higher each time. So when that broke higher, I like running up with that one. And then you get a second entry short here, but again, that looks a little congested. If this would have broke a little bit higher and maybe made a double top, but it's a long way away from the EMA. The other thing too is you probably should draw your channel here, and you can see you've got a break, but you don't have a new high yet. The thing is, you had a break a new high here, and then you're just working sideways, so there's a good chance you could go lower. So that's what makes this one so questionable. But the fact that you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars stacked in a row, at least one of them has no body or a very tiny body. This case is no body. That's congestion. But if you understand how far we are away from the EMA, then you can say, hey, we're probably got congestion because prices are still got a little momentum, but they need to come back to the EMA again. But you can also read this that, hey, we got the close outside, but no new high yet. So it could come back a tick or two and then turn back up and then come down. So it's one of those, it's no man's land. It's hard to get the read on that, what prices are going to do next. So here we would expect prices to try to make a new high on this green one, and they did. But you didn't get a setup over here. Same thing here. You expect them to make a new high, and they eventually do before they sold off, but there's a lot of sideways. This is late in the day, but they still made a new high there. So anyway, there's still quite a few trades here. You had to be patient this morning. Probably a lot of traders coming back in, getting back in the office, getting settled, late getting trading, not much happening, no news today. And then as the day wears on, it starts to make some movement. So this looks kind of thin over here, still like holiday type trading. And so my guess is that's everybody kind of getting settled back into the trading saddle, and getting there organized and looking at the charts, kind of seeing what's been going on, that kind of thing. But anyway, there it is. That's how I see it today. Again, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this one. I'm going to wrap it up and try to continue to get caught up in the office. Spend the rest of the afternoon getting caught up. But hope you had a good trading day. I hope you had a great holiday. Hope you're refreshed. I know I am. I was eager to get back. I actually wanted to come back yesterday, but since the market was closed, there was no sense in it. I just went ahead and took the day off and spent it with my son doing some things, and he was off for the day, so I got to spend the day with him. Didn't get to see my kids a lot over the holidays. They got their own families now and dealing with my mother and so forth. I didn't really get to spend as much time with my kids as I would have liked, so it was kind of nice to spend New Year's Day with my son, and we had a good time. But anyway, welcome back. We'll get back into our regular schedule here. Chart lessons Monday through Thursdays unless there's a holiday or something, or unless I'm sick or something crazy happens, but we should be back to normal. But anyway, welcome back. Happy New Year to everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.